in our next session, we are going to do our very best not to destroy one of Britain's favourite television quiz show formats as we pay homage to Have I Got News For You in an attempt to offer you some sharp insights and sound advice on the merits of advertising around news content, particularly digital news content on the open internet. Now, I'm not going to do this all on my own, so could we get my panellists up onto the stage if you'd like to kind of move forward? Where are they? Give them a round of applause. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for braving this. I'll introduce you very, very shortly. But as Cameron said, I'm Richard Draycott, the Drums Associate Editor. Traditional publishing giants and media outlets might seem like old news, as today's audiences consume their information in many, many different ways online. But does the advertising industry really recognise the value of untapped news publishing audiences, or are they being held back by outdated headlines about advertising on the open internet? Sadly, our budgets wouldn't stretch to bringing Ian Hislop and Paul Merton along to answer those questions, but not have we just gotten one better, we've gone four better, because I've got four real digital advertising heavyweights with me, and I will introduce them now. If I can turn the page over. Okay, introducing Team One. Team One's captain. Where are Team One? Actually, no, the teams have mixed up. It's Michelle and Dan, isn't it? Sorry. I've got my teams mixed up, but Team One's captain is one of those unusually confusing people who has two first names. It's Dan Glynn. Can we welcome Dan from who's programmatic lead at Heineken. Hello, Dan. Dan is joined by Michelle Sarpong, who is commercial lead at 7 Stars. Please welcome Michelle. Thank you for being with us. And over here on Team 2, Team 2 is captained by Mr. Alex Cheeseman, who is head of enterprise brands for the Northern Europe at Onyx by Outbrain. So hello, Alex. And what Alex doesn't know about digital advertising, you can write on the back of a Dairy Lee triangle. He's a real mastermind. Get the cheese link, you like that?
Yeah, love it.
And finally, Alex is joined by Anthony Crocker, who is Director of Commercial Success Strategy at The Telegraph. So thank you very much for being with us. Now, you've all got buzzers on the floor. Do you want to just grab your buzzers quickly? Because we will be using those. We'll do a quick buzzer test. So, do you want to test your buzzers, everybody? Right, fantastic. Buzzers working yet? Yeah. Fabulous, right. Okay, right, we're going to do 4 rounds here, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to try and keep this fairly kind of brisk and breezy, get through 4 rounds. The first round is read all about it. We're going to do a quick fire quiz. I'm going to fire 3 questions at you, and you need to buzz in and give me the answer, okay? So, first question. Which 197-year-old UK newspaper published its final print edition on September the 1st, 2024?
Oh.
Michelle, you buzzed in. I am going to have to press you for an answer.
Evening Standard.
From where?
Oh.
Which city?
I don't know, the UK.
The London Evening Standard.
Yeah, sorry.
The word you're looking for. Correct. Well done to you.
Go.
That's 5 points to you. Well done, Michelle. Okay. Question number 2. How did a deep fake AI... Oh, crikey, me, Alex.
Wow. Taylor Swift.
I need a little bit more. Prompt a pop star to get involved in the US election this week. Who else did it involve?
Trump.
Donald Trump. Yes, exactly. Donald Trump shared a slew of AI-generated images this week that falsely depicted Taylor Swift as endorsing his campaign for president. So, well done, Alex. 5 points to you. And final question, just to get you all warmed up for the round 2. What has replaced TV as the UK public's most popular source of news?
Digital, online.
Correct. Well done, Anthony. Yes. 5 points to you. So, big round of applause to everybody there. Now, points in that round, I'm going to give everybody 10 points. Just to kind of build your confidence and so on. So,
and they were cheating because I was reading the questions.
And they were cheating, yes.
Just
all right.
saying.
Okay, 10 points, 10 points.
Yeah.
No, we'll give you 5 points, 10 points.
Thank you.
So Team 1 is winning at the moment. Okay.
Thanks.
Well done. It's exciting, isn't it? Exciting. It's exciting as queuing up for Oasis tickets, I think, and not getting any. Okay, let's move on to round 2. Now, I'm sure you recognise this round. It's the missing headline round, and this is the kind of main event. This is where we're going to get into the subject around advertising, around digital news. So I'm going to flash up 3 headlines on the screen, and each has a missing word. I'm sure you recognise it, and it's down to our experts to figure out what that missing word is. So if you've got the suggestion, please buzz in and give us your suggestion. I'll be giving points for the right answer, and I'll also be giving bonus points to panel members who can give us the deepest insights into what sits behind our headlines. So this is a real chance for you to show your expertise, okay? So I hope you guys I hope you've done your homework. This will be the shortest episode of Have We Got News For You that's ever been filmed. So let's get into our first headline. There we go. Extra, extra, ads on news sites deliver better
ROI.
That is the correct answer.
Oh, okay.
But what we wanted was a few funny answers first. Just hold that thought. I know you're keen, and I know you want to win. Does anybody know what the right answer might be? And anybody would like to give us some insight into what sits behind this headline?
I mean, ROI. I was going to say results.
Oh, you've stole his answer now.
Oh, sorry.
No, you carry on, Michelle,
I was going to say
please,
results, but ROI is the same thing.
Yep.
I think people always get hung up on actually the print product, but I think if you look at the news brands as a whole, they do reach quite a large number of people. I think it's like 45 million readers every month, which is a massive number. And I think we do forget as well that we're kind of obsessed with data now, and actually publishers have like first-party data in abundance. Also, as well, when you're reading a news brand, you're kind of just like watching it, reading it on as one. I think everyone's talking about second screening. I mean, did anyone watch the Arsenal Man City game on Sunday? Yeah, I know. All us Arsenal fans, hold strong. But even that, when I was watching that game, I was watching it with one eye, then I was on Instagram, then I was on WhatsApp. You're kind of always dual screening, but with news brands, you're always like quite honed in. And also as well, the content, I think we're kind of always talking about context and actually like the importance of content. And I think news brands are the best kind of environment for it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know there's a lot of Newsworks research around this, and it talks about the importance of the critical factor is including news brands in a blended campaign. And because for some reason the industry holds us so highly accountable for attribution compared to a lot of other medium, it gets stripped out. But actually, across the board, that research demonstrated that when news brands are included in the mix, the ROI goes through the roof. So I think we really need to go back to some of the tried and tested methods of planning and not be focused on some of those really strict attribution models that aren't giving you the full picture of how a campaign is performing. And then there's a whole lot of stuff that I could go into about brand suitability over brand safety, but I've got a feeling we might be able to go into that a bit further.
No more than me.
Let's quickly cover attribution now and audience. Quick show of hands. Who in here reads the news? Put your hands up if you read the news. Great, everyone. Does anyone in this room buy stuff? Yes? Hands up. Great. Does anyone consider themselves valuable? Yes, great. So we all know that news customers are valuable because we are all customers of news. So there's my response to that.
Thank you very much, Alex. Dan, do you have any points?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to add to it as well, we do still see really good results from open web targeting as well. And I think we've actually seen some of it in the last couple of weeks from our side on one of our Foster's campaigns is actually that Foster's Shandy, the highest level of awareness behind TV actually came from open web advertising. So it still shows it still has a massive part to play in terms of the ecosystem and what we should be buying as well.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you everybody on that. I'm going to give, you got the answer, but then Michelle stole it off you. So I'm going to give Michelle your points if it's okay.
Have it.
Sorry about that.
We don't need it. We're fine.
We're way ahead anyway, right?
Yeah, you
way
were
ahead.
miles ahead, yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Let's move on to missing headline number 2. 30% of premium publishing inventory remains something, while social media gets the gold. There might be a rhyme in here somewhere.
Oh.
Right, sorry.
I was going to say...
Which means you've not got the right answer, so come on, let's hear
let's
it.
improvise. All right.
How about you?
Untouched, untapped.
No? Untouched, untapped.
That sounds
not a million miles away, but no.
Okay. Damn it.
I mean, I know the right answer, but I got told off for saying it straight away.
Right, so we don't want the right answer just yet.
No, silver.
Silver. Oh, I can see what you've done there.
Yeah.
No, it's not quite right. No. Anybody in the audience? Unsold.
I mean, yeah, that's the right answer. Are we giving the right answer or not?
Oversold.
Okay. Well, the right answer is I'm told undersold. So you were nearly right, just to
Yeah.
put letters out. So, Dan, I think you've got some insight into this headline that you'd like to share.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we always look at from a digital perspective is people see walled gardens as the be all and end all really as well. When, obviously they have such a high, level of inventory that we can tap into, but realistically, is it premium? Not as premium as news brands, I'd argue. At the same time, when you're looking at the likes of, let's say YouTube, Meta, for example, it is still quality inventory that we need to go to, but a lot of it is user-generated content. Whereas one of the things I think with, say, news brands, for example, as well, as Michelle mentioned there, people are engaged with it. People will be digesting that content a lot of the time as well. And I think as advertisers, we need to make sure that we are funding that quality journalism at the same time as well. Journalism has such an important part to play in sort of the free society that we have at the moment. So people are going to be engaged with it. People are going to be making sure that, they're reading it on a regular basis as well. And I think, people look at their phones a lot of the time now. And I think it goes back to what we were saying, like 7 in 10 people now get their news from the internet as opposed to TV for the first time ever. And, there's such a high vast of users we can reach from that. So we need to be diversifying our digital strategies to make sure it's included within that. We don't need to just take a sort of tunnel vision view of just going to walled gardens because it's never going to work. It's going to deliver a finite scale. Whereas if we combine that with premium quality inventory from the likes of the news brand publishers, it's going to make our activity work even harder. And I think, that's one of the things that we need to be looking at in the industry. And as we mentioned, we've seen some really, really strong results off the back of programmatic advertising from a brand awareness point of view. So we need to make sure that we continue sort of the journey we're going on by utilising this inventory as well.
I'd like to add to that just a challenge to other publishers. From a Telegraph perspective, we've seen fantastic success by really leaning into telling a story of value through those advanced attention metrics. But ultimately, they are inputs, they're kind of hygiene factors that allow you to demonstrate that your delivery is quality, that the content that sits around it is of a certain premium, and really leaning into that, the brand awareness and demonstrating that you are shifting the dial in terms of things like the affinity and the consideration towards a brand, because in reality, that's where our strength lies, in driving that kind of top of the funnel, foundation laying brand awareness opportunity. And I think one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons why, but one of the reasons that publishers have struggled is they're not leaning into that opportunity to really tell that story in an advanced way. So we've done that at the Telegraph, it's worked. So the challenge is to other publishers to do that, I think.
Yeah.
On that though, just to be controversial.
Oh, extra points for controversial.
Thank you.
20 points.
Touched it. 50. Come on.
Eddie.
Do you think that you guys are the part of the reason and the problem why, news brands haven't actually got, because we're talking about social media, and as soon as the social media platforms came onto the scene, everyone was talking about their audiences, and actually they naturally got investment based off of that. But I think with publishers, especially when I was an agency, they're giving a lot of their digital inventory away for free. Obviously, then a lot of your kind of inventory is sold by third parties. And actually, in terms of I know we're going to talk about this later, but in terms of around attention, you guys were the first to talk about it, but now the digital kind of platforms are now taking over that narrative. Do you not think that basically it's your fault?
Not my fault. Sorry, guys, not my fault.
50 points if you can get yourself out of this.
I agree with you to an extent, and I think that yes, the digital inventory for a long time at publishers was potentially seen as a bit of a kind of hassle, and so it's well, if somebody else can sell it for us and we don't have to really think about it, then that's fine, and that led to a lot of really bad practice in terms of the way that audiences are being targeted or the way that ads were being delivered. The reason that the Telegraph kind of had that about turn and was kind of pioneering a lot of those changes was because we adopted the subscription strategy, which meant that we couldn't do any of that anymore. We had to make a lot of changes to the site to make it a premium ad experience, which made us rethink our whole approach. And suddenly the opportunity around attention metrics and proving the value of them was right in front of us. And it kind of you couldn't really see the wood for the trees when you've got 1 million SSPs kind of all saying, don't worry, we'll increase your margins. So I agree with you to an extent, but I think it's moving in the right direction. And I think the big thing from my perspective is working collaboratively with other news brands. So when they were the big dogs, there was a lot of time and energy spent on competing with each other. I think now we understand that we need to work coherently and cohesively as a kind of a sort of genre of media in order for that to be effective. So it is moving in the right direction.
And I do agree.
But I'm sorry, everyone.
I can see how
You're chomping at the bit to get in here.
Oh,
Alex.
I'm so desperate to throw the grenade back over at Dan,
Yeah.
actually.
From the left, Dan's back in the game.
I think programmatic has kicked the bucket out the market, right? Because what happens is with programmatic, there's asymmetrical knowledge. But buyers know a lot more than sellers, right? And so there's a practice, sorry, sellers know more than buyers. So what happens is it reduces the amount that someone's willing to pay because there isn't this knowledge. Impressions don't give you a metric for quality. Right, so what's happened is there's no incentives to create good quality content because actually everything's going at a cost just above average. So the reality is, when we start to look at the quality piece, which again we should explore further, people will start to pay for that because if they know that they're in a quality environment, if they're getting better share of voice, then they're willing to pay. In every other market on the planet, we pay more for quality. Yet we don't seem to be doing that within our industry at the minute. And there's ways and solutions, but I think that's the big opportunity.
Yeah. So it's not Anthony's fault, it's Dan's fault.
Yeah. I like it.
Thanks for that.
Just on that point, though, so I think there is an agreement of that because obviously with programmatic, we obviously want to make sure we're buying an audience as opposed to buying an entity now, essentially. And I think always the problem we had, if you were to go direct to a news publisher, there might be an issue around limited scale, what you actually want to go for. So I think there's a job to be done from both publishers and buyers to actually work with like curation, for example, to understand what is the best inventory source for us to make it easier for both of us to actually deliver quality, but find the right audiences as well.
Yeah. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with programmatic. It's all of the nefarious.
I hope
Come on, guys. Nefarious kids that came in and tried to game it and tried to, and were acting really badly. That sort of toxified it. So it's really important to remember actually when it's done properly through the right channels, and it's a really fantastic way to access inventory.
Yeah, and actually, let's not forget social media's in the heading as well. And like, there's a conversation around misinformation that's happening, and brand safety. And I think the Times released an article. They did an investigation in 2017 where they found that due to block lists, a lot of inventory was getting blocked for news sites. And I think it's really interesting that we're talking about quality and brand safety as metrics, but we lean quite heavily into the social sphere because we know misinformation is such a massive thing. I mean, I'm not absolving publications for that because I think obviously we all know what happened in the summer with the race riots and the riots that happened, that the newspapers do have a role to play in terms of, racism, xenophobia, trans hate, etc. But at least they're policed by the law and policed by there's institutions within the press that actually govern what they can put out there. So I think we have to remember that in terms of if we are really passionate about brand safety and keeping our audience safe, we should be looking at investing in quality media.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I do agree with you, just to save all my publishing friends.
25 points, 30
Thank
points.
you very much. I'm going to give you all 45 points for that.
wow.
Excellent. And we have got a counsellor on hand upstairs, Dan, if you need anybody after that brutal attack there. I didn't see that one. Anyway, thanks for that. That was excellent. Let's move on to missing headline number 3. Why are these panellists attention something seekers?
Well, I guess I'm quite triggered by that because I'm we're not I'm a middle child. I mean, naturally, I'm attention seeking, but
Yes, obviously.
obviously. But I think the answer is driven.
Not quite, Michelle.
Oh, wow. All right.
Metrics.
Metric, yes, it is metric. Yes,
yeah.
yes. Thank you.
I was going to say measurement.
Yeah.
Well done, you got the
Same
point.
thing. Yeah.
So,
10 points.
Yeah.
would you like to give us a little bit more insight into what lies behind this?
Yeah, I think this kind of expanding on what I was saying before is that actually the real, it's really important that we kind of look at how we can stop that gamification of ad delivery, that we stop focusing on kind of trying to find a silver bullet metric that tells us an entire story. The reality is that you need to look at the complexity of, the attention journey that somebody goes on, and then follow that through to actual outcomes as well. Because so often people get sidetracked by, my viewability's got to be this. And obviously we want to make sure that we're delivering a decent amount of viewability. But a lot of the kind of silver bullet metrics often distract people from actually what they're trying to achieve. And they sometimes make delivery strategy decisions that aren't right for the brand, that actually are probably having a negative impact. We have a thing at the Telegraph called Rage versus Engage. And the idea is that if you're so focused on the positive metrics and not thinking about the consequence of potential negative impact, then you can start to make decisions that you're actually end up pissing more people off than you're engaging, even though the incremental increase in the positive engagement is slight. If you start to be more intrusive and annoying, you're not considering all of the ways that you're actually kind of putting your brand into a negative brand lift. So I think, for me, it goes back to that point that you've got to do the work. You've got to make sure that you're looking at the whole picture from start to beginning, and you're focused on what your ultimate end goals is for the campaign.
Yeah. I think the headline's wrong. So it shouldn't be attention. I think it should be quality and results driven, because that's what we're interested in. Attention doesn't matter, right? Because attention's a byproduct. Do a really good job. What we want to be able to do as a business is make sure that the ads that we're serving are in quality environments in front of highly engaged, appropriate audiences, and actually they're doing the jobs that they're supposed to be set out to do. And I think that's collectively what we're trying to do.
Yeah, okay. Dan, talking of pissed off people.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Constantly, yeah.
The pin was in the grenade. You're fine.
I think it goes back to viewability as a metric means absolutely nothing nowadays as well. This is just a proxy, and it's something we should be looking at all. And attention, again, means absolutely nothing unless there's an outcome towards it as well. You could have the highest levels of attention, but it could deliver absolutely nothing towards your business. It's not going to be cost efficient. You're going to be spunking money up the wall essentially as well. So what we're trying to understand for Heineken is what attention delivers to brand outcomes and what is the optimal amount. And we saw one of our studies actually look at saying 2 seconds of attention delivered 20% brand uplift. With that knowledge, we know that you can probably run shorter form content across that as well, which will then increase the efficiencies of your buying and also your creative modelling as well, because you don't need to use a 30-second asset, you can just use a 6-second instead. So I think that's the kind of way we want to move forward to, and it's going to bring those efficiencies into agencies and brands and probably to publishers as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Right, I'm going to bring that round to a close. Points-wise, no points. I'm going to give 100 to Dan for using the phrase "spunking money" in our very professional marketing. I promise you wouldn't say it.
Oh, cheers.
But no, thank you for that. It was really insightful. Thanks for your comments there. Now we're going to move on to round number 3, which is real versus fake. Now we've got 3 headlines here, or 3 statements, and we'd like you to buzz in and tell us whether you think they're true or false. An audience, please feel free, you can get involved in this as well by just shouting out if you think it's true or false. So, first one, here we go. Average attention on screen has decreased by 69% since 2004. Do we... Oh, crikey, we all buzzed at the same time. I think you just got in there first, didn't you?
I'd say it's false.
You think it's false?
It's that Microsoft goldfish study, right? It's saying that we've got the same attention span as the goldfish.
I was going to say false, but for devil's advocate, I'm just going to say true now as well.
Michelle, what do you think? True, false?
Okay, sorry, we should have been able to... Can we confer on the final answer?
Yeah, of course you can.
I mean, I would have said true. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Well, I can tell you it is a true statement assumed by many to be false. So don't feel too bad. Don't feel too bad about that, Alex. Okay, moving on to the second one. Advertisers primarily use attention metrics more than clicks and impressions to measure campaigns these days.
I wish it was true.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, no, I think they buzz first.
He definitely buzzed first.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michelle.
I think that is false.
You think that's false? You can see my...
I'm a Peter.
Dan, are you supporting?
I agree, yeah.
that? False?
I like
Over
your
this
answer.
side?
Well, what I said is I wish it was true.
Right, okay. Why do you wish it was true? Tell us why you wish it was true.
Because it leads to, we know that focusing on clicks and impressions leads to a better, a much worse reader experience. We actually make a point of calling our readers, not users. But, ultimately, what we're trying to do here is create great advertising that entertains and informs. You're not going to get that if you're focused on, driving, fat thumbs and intrusive impressions. So,
Plus, you want more money.
Yeah. Well, we will do.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our final statement. A third of advertisers have been told to avoid marketing. I've not finished yet, Sally. You read too quick. Okay, true or false?
I'd say it's false. I reckon it's 99% of advertisers have been told.
Pretty high.
Yeah. What do we think over here?
I want to say it's false as well, probably.
Michelle?
I'm going to say it's true.
Well, you're correct, Michelle.
Just
Apparently,
saying.
this is a true statement.
Get the points then, yeah.
That can't be. It can't be true.
Why can it not?
Well,
be true?
every single brand on the planet has got brand safety and exclusion lists in place, and so there's very, very few people will run on news and politics. I mean, if you're a brand in this room, do you advertise on news and politics? Anyone? Show of hands. No one. So 99%, right? Apart from that one person in the back. So I'm right. 50 points.
We've done a lot. Yeah, thank you. I have to say I'm surprised that's not higher. And we've done a lot of work because the frustration from our point of view is increasingly brands are focused on being purpose-driven, and they want to be kind of social justice, or they want to show their sustainability credentials. And guess where content on social justice and sustainability sits? In news and politics. So there feels like there's a bit of a hypocrisy that brands are saying they want to be involved with these things, but they're not supporting the quality journalism that's driving those issues.
Yeah,
I think it's because of perceived news is negative and it's polarizing, right? And I think that's where some clients and brands, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but would feel like actually it's probably better to avoid, especially because the feedback loop is so much quicker now with like social media. That's probably where that's coming from.
Yeah, okay, great. Right, thank you. We'll bring a close to that round. I'm going to give you all 5 points, and we'll give the person at the back of the room who supported my thing, I'm going to give you 25 points. Okay? So you're winning at the moment. Okay, let's move on to round 4. Now, this is the big one. This is where you really get your chance. Everybody gets a chance to give their views, their final wrap-up statements on today's subject. So you've got 25 words or less. So it's time for you to all dig deep. I'm hoping that you've done your homework and you've pre-prepared these. I'll be awarding points for the pithiest insights, and I'm going to start with Michelle.
I knew it.
My final thoughts. We need to support quality news publishers. I think if we are keen to kind of drive quality metrics and we actually do care about brand safety, those are the places we need to be in. And I think in terms of the programmatic space especially, I think that is driving that change. I think we're doing it at the 7th, sorry, it's a sales pitch actually.
This is more than 25 words, by the way.
Yeah, I can't count. So yes, at the 7th Stars, we're doing that, working with a specific DSP to drive publisher spend and quality news through that platform.
Thank you very much. We'll come over to Anthony next, shall we?
Yeah, I suppose just reiterating on that point, really, we know, even if the certain publication isn't aligned to your personal politics, your readers love that brand, right? Your consumers, love that brand, and putting your brand in there is going to drive your levels of trust and affinity. You'd be hard pressed to find any other kind of online medium as a news brand that's driving that level of influence over the readers. So you really just need to get on board and invest if you really want to make your campaign successful.
Thank you very much. Dan, have you got any comments to wrap up? Oh, Dan has done this.
Yeah, I wrote these down and just did a word count just to be sure as well. It says quality journalism is so important to society. The open web has such incredible potential, so we just need to be tapping into it.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that. And that was 27 words. That won't be enough.
I don't know about that.
And shall we give the last word to you, Alex, over there?
Just do.
There's actually nothing on these cards.
There's a practical reality, which is every single one of your consumers reads news. It's such an untapped opportunity. The brand halo effect, the effectiveness, and even the cost right now because of programmatic, it's so effective. Just do it.
Thank you very much. Okay, right, now that brings us to the end of the quiz. I'll just do a little bit of totting up. Bear in mind, I'm a journalist, not an accountant, so this could take me some time. Anybody got any fingers they can lend me? Okay, right. So does anybody want to know the final scores? Do you really? Okay, the final scores are 47 points to Team 1, but I'm going to award you a bonus 300 points.
Nice. I didn't say spunk.
No, or actually, no, you did just now. You just did it. Yes, you did, Alex. So, our winners today are Alex and Anthony over there in team number 2. Well done, everybody. Thank you very much for taking part in Have We Got News for You. I think we've learned a lot today. Have we not learned a lot today, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. Thanks for being with us, Alec, Anthony, Dan, Michelle. Please put your hands together to thank our lovely panellists for sharing their knowledge. And we'll see you at the same time, same place next year. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.